Jamie Kern Lima is the author of the upcoming book, Worthy: How to Believe You Are Enough and to Transform Your Life. She's the New York Times bestselling author of Believe It, a guest teacher of the Life You Want class with the Oprah Winfrey, and founder of It Cosmetics. And this is a company, a cosmetics company that she founded in her living room and grew it to the largest luxury makeup brand in the country, sold it to L'Oreal in $1 million deal, and became the first female CEO of a brand for L'Oreal in 100+ year history. Her love of her customers and remarkable authenticity and belief eventually landed her on Forbes' America's Richest Self-Made Woman list. I was just doing an Oprah there. She's been a Denny's waitress, a struggling entrepreneur, lived a lifelong journey of rejections, and battled her way through self-doubt to the place where she is now, and is now trying to help, I guess, the rest of us believe in ourselves too.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys. This is going to be such an important, exciting, incredible episode. I hope it speaks to the soul of everyone joining us, and I'm just honored to be here.
I feel like everybody who's like just heard that and for any reason does not know who you are, and they're like, whoa, wait, how does a woman, and this was years ago, so young, be able to become so successful and sell a cosmetics company that she made in her own living room in a $1 billion deal? Like, how does something like that happen, Jamie?
Whether it is launching and growing your business in your living room to $1 billion company, or let me just say something harder, or what's harder than that, loving yourself enough to attract healthy, loving friendships, or let me say something even harder than that, loving yourself enough to show up authentically as who you truly are to the world, the way Cat and Nat do. Whether it's any of those things, it's all the same answer that I've actually learned the hard way, but it's learning not the skill set, not how smart do I have to be, not who do I know or am I connected or any of that stuff. It's literally learning to believe you're worthy of it. Like learning, like in life, and this is so big. This is why I wrote this book, Worthy, because in life, we don't become what we want. We become what we believe we're worthy of. In our relationships or our career ambitions or our goals and dreams, like we don't rise to what we believe is possible. We fall to what we believe we're worthy of. And I've learned this the hard way. Even after achieving all these things the world told me were like going to make me happy and feel like I'm enough, I achieved a lot of them. And maybe anyone listening can relate to this. Like you had a big goal or a dream. Maybe it was to get the 6-pack abs or like, get get married or have kids or, get a certain job or hit a certain number in your bank account or get a certain status on social media. And for so many of us, we think once I finally get that thing, then I'm going to feel enough. Then I'm going to feel happy. Then I'm going to feel fulfilled. And we arrive at that thing going, okay, it was amazing for like a month or a week, but why do I feel like it's not enough again? Like something's missing. And then we work harder and we accomplish the next thing and the next thing. And what we don't realize, what I learned the hard way, is all those things help build self-confidence. They build self-confidence, but self-confidence is so different than self-worth. And nothing we can achieve builds self-worth. And if we don't have strong self-worth underneath it all, we'll live our whole lives like a people pleaser, constantly trying to achieve more, hoping, showing up in the world as who other people want us to be, rather than who we are. And we'll keep doing that over and over and over and over, and never feel fulfilled and never feel worthy. And so for me, even after selling the business for $1 billion, which just sounds wild to even say out loud, even after teaching a class with Oprah, even after all these things, I didn't know in my life why I was still sabotaging certain things, why I still had friends around that didn't treat me well or give me the kind of love I gave them. I didn't understand all that until I realized that deep down inside, I had a lot of confidence, but I didn't have a lot of self-worth, and I didn't think I was worthy of certain things. And we can only attract the kind of love on the outside that reflects how much we love ourselves on the inside. So last 3 years, Cat and Nat, the last 3 years, I have become obsessed with studying self-worth.
I was going to say, I feel like
Yeah.
people are going to be like, okay, hold on a minute. We've talked about self-confidence for, I feel like 50 years right now, about finding your
Yes.
self-confidence, being self-confident. Like,
Yes.
what is the difference?
Oh my gosh, this is the best question in the entire universe for like literally, especially for every woman listening. Okay, so self-confidence and self-worth, we always think they're the same thing. We confuse the two. They are so different. They're both very important. They're both very important in our life, but they're very, very different. So let me just define the two and then say like what this looks like in our lives,
Yes.
and like how this shows up if we have a lot of confidence, but we don't have self-worth. So self-confidence, while it's an internal trait, is based so much on the external, and it fluctuates and it rises and falls. And so it's fragile. Self-confidence is our assessment of our own skills and abilities, our willingness to try and go for it, how we feel we stack up and measure against other people, how much of the world's definition of success we think we have. And, you know, they if we're winning or losing. Like they show studies, the boxer who wins the fight is automatically 30% more confident. So self-confidence fluctuates based on what's happening around us. And then self-worth is the deep internal knowing and belief that you are fully worthy of love and belonging exactly as you are. Not as your past, not as your mistakes, not as how much you're accomplishing it, regardless of anything going on the outside. Self-worth is that true belief you are enough and worthy exactly as you are. And for so many of us, from the time we're little, if we're blessed enough to have family that is well-intended or friends that are well-intended, they'll say things like, how's your job going? Or, you know, what relationship are you in? Or do you have a kid? And we're taught once we get those things, then that's when we're going to feel enough. And where we watch lots of TV commercials and ads, and they all tell us like, once you get the dream car, then you'll be enough. Once you get a certain size, then you'll,
Jamie,
all the things.
School is built on this. Like, I was like, once you get to, I was like to my kids, college, university guarantee the big zero. So that's not the end. I think this is so crazy. You're saying this because I'm sitting here. I'm like, oh my God, every school is teaching our kids that they have to achieve. And then they're worth it. Then they're an A. Then they're this. Honor roll.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like, and maybe even to ask you, Cat and Nat, and ask to everyone listening, like, if you've ever had that big goal of like, oh, when I finally, get straight A's, or when I finally, whatever this big goal is in our life, get married, when I finally hit a certain weight or health goal, whatever it is, and then you finally get it, and you think like, oh, I thought this was supposed to make me happy and fulfilled and feel enough. And for so many of us, we arrive there and it doesn't. So we think, oh, I just got to achieve more. I just got to work harder. I got to take it to the next level. And so it becomes this never ending cycle forever. But in the pursuit of these things, there's a whole chapter. So Worthy, the book, it's really like Believe It Was My Story of Believing Myself. Worthy is the playbook on how do you believe in you. It's over 20 tools to build self-worth. And a huge section of it is unlearning these lies that lead to self-doubt, and then like igniting the truths that wake up worthiness. And part of it talks about like the ultimate fulfillment equation in life, which is important to build self-worth. It's important to build self-confidence and to be growing and really like contributing to others. Like those three things are important, but they're all multiplied by our level of self-worth in order to get our level of fulfillment. So while, achieving and growing and all of those things is great and it all builds self-confidence, none of it builds self-worth. And our self-worth is our ceiling in every area of our life, our friendships, our marriage, our love and relationships that we have with other people. So often as women, we believe like, oh, I just need to make everyone else happy, entertain them all, do all the things, get my kids through school, check all the boxes. And we think if I don't if I don't learn to love myself, that's okay, because maybe that's selfish and maybe it doesn't really matter. Maybe I'll do that later. But the depth of love and connection we can have with our kids, with our friends, with our partner, can never be deeper than the depth of love and connection we have with ourselves.
Jamie, how, if you're sitting there and you're like, I mean, there's so many things that can contribute to small, little, low self-worth. You're sitting there and you're like, I don't actually feel like, not only do I not feel like I'm totally in love with myself because I'm so distracted by everything else that's going on, but how do I work on growing my self-worth when in a lot of cases people around you aren't helping contribute, and that would be self-confidence, but for yourself you have to do it to yourself. But how do you learn to love yourself more when you're like, I don't even know who I am to love myself and to feel worthy of these things, when it feels like this is where I should just stay?
So I'm just trying to think in my head right now, like, which of the tools do I dive into right now? Because there's so many you can apply to your life right now. And that's what's so important. So the very first thing is just literally being aware of, like, oh my gosh, like, I think I have challenges with self-worth. A lot of people are not aware of that. They think I just need to build. Yeah, right. They just think they need to build more confidence, which is different. And so the first thing is awareness, and not to answer your question, like, for anyone listening right now, and if they're like, do I have a self-worth issue? It usually shows up in one of three ways. When we have really low self-worth, what that often looks like is we're stuck. We stay stuck. Like, we want to make healthier friendships, but we just don't do anything about it. Or we want to, like, share an idea or our art on social media, or, we want to show up authentically in relationships. We want to share our ideas at work, or at a PTA meeting, like a parent teacher meeting or whatever. But we don't, we stay stuck and we don't know why. And we'll often, like, think, oh, I just got to get more skills or experience or whatever. But really what it is we don't feel worthy of that thing. So if we have low self-worth, it often looks like we're stuck in different places. If we have medium self-worth, it looks like, oh, we'll go for the things, but then we'll sabotage them along the way. So we'll launch the business, but then we'll hit a certain ceiling and it won't grow beyond that because our self-worth is our ceiling. Or, in my case, I dreamed my whole life of meeting Oprah, and 40 years later, I finally did. And by the way, you guys, I had, sold the business for $1 billion and was on the Forbes list, like you had shared, and all these things. And I finally got invited to lunch with her, had a 3-hour lunch at her house. And when she gave me her cell number after and said, call me anytime, I did not call her for over 4 years. And I didn't know why. And what I realized 4 years later was I, deep down inside, didn't believe I was worthy of being her friend. And so I sabotaged the whole thing. And that was the day I picked up the phone and called her. But my point is, I had a lot of confidence, but didn't realize underneath it all, I didn't feel worthy. And so it can look like us sabotaging things, or I'll put, like, a great guy in the friend zone and not know why we're not attracted to them. It can show up in so many ways. And then if we have medium to high self-worth, it can look like us accomplishing stuff, going for it, making it happen. But then when we finally get it, we still feel empty and like something's missing, like we're not enough. So it really shows up in all these areas of life. And, one tool that I can hop into from the book, there's over 20 of them. One tool is about how when you change your relationship with rejection or failure, you change your entire life. By the way, there's a whole chapter that I feel like you guys have mastered in your life, but so few women have, that's called You're Not Crazy, You're Just First. And it's about realizing the things that you might think are wrong or odd or quirky or don't belong or are not enough are actually the most beautiful, powerful parts of you. And when you learn to embrace that, there's literally, for everyone listening to us right now, you're first, because there's never been another you before. Like, there's never been anyone with your unique fingerprints or tongue prints or heartbeat or the emotions you experience, or the way you see art and beauty in the world. And if you are one of the brave ones willing to show up authentically as who you truly are in this world, you're first. If you're one of the brave ones willing to show up on social media as who you truly are, or show up in your dreams and your business goals and your ideas as who you truly are, you're first. And when you're first, don't be surprised if not everyone gets you, or not everyone thinks your business is going to make it. Or like for years, building It Cosmetics, we got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of no's for years because people didn't think it was going to work. And I've just learned, like, I've always kind of felt like a little different from the families I was raised in and all these things. And I thought, is there something wrong with me? And they'd always say things to me like, you're crazy. People like us, like things like that don't happen to people like us, and this and that. And so many of us get so tempted to just conform and people please and want to belong at the expense of our own freedom. Because as I'm sure, Cat Nat, hold on, my AirPod just dropped. Okay. One of the big reasons I think that you liberate, I will just say it, the two of you liberate so many women, is because they see in you something that is in them that they're trying so hard to unleash, which is when we realize, oh, we're not crazy. We're just first. And we dare to show up in this world as who we authentically are. It tastes like freedom. And that tastes better than chocolate. That tastes better than anything else. So embracing this idea, you're not crazy, you're just first. And how do you truly tap in your identity and know that you're worthy exactly as you are? There's a whole tool on that. And then another one, I don't know how much time we have. We can dive in if you want.
We got lots of time here. We just got days over here. I'm like, I feel like I'm at a TED Talk and I'm loving it. I'm like, more.
You know what I love, you guys? It's like, oh my gosh, you'll always hear people out there that, with this book, by the way, with Worthy, like I'm donating 100% of the proceeds. Like this is literally my life's greatest work, because I feel like had I not learned this, I would still be on this, this cycle of achievement and people pleasing and feeling like I am never enough. And that was me most of my entire life. And when we learn to believe we're worthy, we don't lose our ambition. We actually just become fearless. We become more ambitious when we learn to believe we're worthy, because we don't really care anymore if we fail or fall flat on our face or go for the thing and it doesn't work out, or put ourselves out there and say, do you want to be friends? And the person says no, because we know, okay, that might shake our self-confidence for a minute, but it cannot touch our self-worth. So we learn to
you forget those. You actually just don't remember. Like you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like it doesn't scar you. It just is something that happened rather than lives on you or in you. You're like, oh yeah. Like often we're like, oh my gosh, remember when? Like it's not a pivotal, failure is not a pivotal life moment for us. Failure is just sort of something that happened to us. And we're like, or not even, it's just something we experienced. And then we carry on rather than like carry it with us. We carry on over it and keep on going.
When I think about this book and, learning to have more self-worth, it makes me think like two things. It makes me feel really sad for so many people, because you said, when you were doing It Cosmetics and you heard no so many times, that so many people were probably in those circumstances, but they were not able to just believe and push forward and put everything they had into it, because they were like, maybe they're right and maybe this won't work and maybe I'm crazy. But on the opposite side, this book is exciting because not only for young people to learn self-worth, but also that it's never too late.
Yes. Oh, and you know what? If someone is listening to us right now and they are 85, or 105, it doesn't even matter. Like when you learn to build self-worth, oh my gosh, it will change generations in your family, because we are the example, right? And I love what you were both just saying about this, because there's a difference between things happening outside of us and things taking root in our identity, right? Which is Kat, what you were just kind of mentioning about failure. You were saying like, oh, failure happened, or I got rejected or whatever. That happened, but that's not kind of penetrating who I am. And here's the big risk. So I think one of my favorite chapters in Worthy is called When You Change Your Relationship with Rejection, You Change Your Entire Life. And this was its own book, right? But the problem in the book world is I'd have to wait 2 more years for that book to come out. And I was so impatient. So it's now a chapter. It's the biggest chapter in Worthy. It's chapter 2 in Worthy now, because I'm like, I can't wait. Like exactly to what you just said, Nat. I'm like, I wake up every morning thinking about how most of my life I almost doubted myself out of my own destiny, literally. And there's so many people now that have had so many rejections or failures or things not go their way or setbacks. And when that happens, it hurts our confidence because it's external. But when we let it take root in who we are and we start to think, oh yeah, not just I've had failures or I've been rejected, but we start to think I'm a failure. I'm a reject. Right. And that's when it takes root in our identity and affects our self-worth. And it's a lie. And to your point too, Nat, every person listening right now, it does not matter what age they are. It is never too late right now to start this. And the beautiful thing is it's not like, oh, I have to learn all these things and build a skill set. No. You are fully worthy right now. So every person, regardless of your past, regardless of what you've achieved or what you have, you're fully worthy right now. It's a matter of unlearning these lies that lead to self-doubt. And the one just quickly about when you change your relationship with rejection, you change your life. For anybody out there who maybe had, people hurt them in the past, reject them, break their heart, let them down, pull the rug out from underneath them. Or for people who felt like I've put myself out there and I've failed. I've shared my ideas and it doesn't go my way. I don't have what it takes. I'm, to use your words, Nat, earlier, I'll just stay right where I am because I don't think I'm enough. I go through something called the 4 R's in this chapter on how to reframe rejection and failure in your life so that you actually don't associate any pain with it. You don't let it take root in your identity, and you actually embrace it in a way. And I had to do that in my journey of building It Cosmetics because the few years in, it was hundreds and hundreds of no's, and some of them were so painful. And for a lot of us, when we get 1 no or 5 no's, we're done. Like we give up, we quit, we think it somehow is an indication of our own not enoughness. And it never is. And I go through in the book, and maybe I'll just do a mini version of this right now, but I'll ask you, Cat and Nat, this question. And then also anyone listening to us right now, let's do this together and be really honest with yourself. Okay. As the first R is called reveal. So really honest with yourself. If you imagine yourself getting rejected or failing at something, what's the first thought you have? Like without thinking about it, what's the first thought you have when you get rejected or fail at something?
I like to avoid it. And then I have to I really talk out loud. And then I say, usually to Natalie, there's a feeling I have I don't like. And then I have to think about it. And then I'm like, this is the feeling. I don't like this feeling. I don't like that this happened. And I just keep saying it. And then I think I'm lucky I have people in my life who I just keep talking about it with until I can get perspective rather than letting it fester. And then eventually you work through it. And sometimes I talk out loud to myself and then it's gone. And then it just goes on a ship away. And I think we're really good at, addressing it and then talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. She usually reads it and then we usually talk about it.
Well, I was like, I know what that feeling, I can think of a lot of those those times that happened. But one time, if I'm just being totally honest, I was thinking, am I mad? No, I wasn't mad. Was I sad? No, I was defensive. I was just kind of like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For so many of us, I've been in rooms of women, rooms of powerful CEOs. I feel like what's really interesting, rooms of moms, it's kind of not whenever I've asked this question, for me, most of my life, like the second I fail at something or get rejected, my first thought, because a lot of times, so you guys are super evolved and aware of what you're thinking. For most of us, we have this thought right away, but we don't realize it. And like for me, most of my life, anytime I'm rejected or I fail at something, or I instantly think, yep, there's proof again, I'm not enough. Like that's my first thought. Yep, I'm not enough. And when I ask this in rooms of women, oh my goodness, the things that come out of people's mouths, like so many women, the first thought without thinking about it when they get rejected or fail at something is, yep, I shouldn't have even tried. I don't have what it takes. I'm stupid. I'm a loser. I mean, the things that come out, who did I think I was? I shouldn't have even tried. And it's, for anyone listening to us too, like share with Cat and Nat your first thought, like, because this is a very, and what we don't realize is in life, because as human beings, we are wired to avoid pain at all costs, right? Like it's why so many of us, we know we can have the benefits of going to the gym and all the health and all the things, but we do not want the pain of working out on it. So we'll avoid it. And it's like the fear of pain will take over. And so what happens and why this revealing your first thought when you think of getting rejected and failing is important is because for most of us, our first thought that we just had, for me, my whole life has been, I'm not enough. For most of us, that thought, which by the way, is our current definition of rejection or failure. For everyone listening who just had that thought, maybe it was, I'm a loser, I'm not smart enough, I shouldn't have tried. That's your current definition of rejection and failure. And everything in life is the meaning we attach to it. So if your current definition is painful, which for me, most of my life, yep, I'm not enough, it's painful, we'll avoid it at all costs. We'll stay stuck. We won't go for the thing. We won't put ourselves out there. We won't ask, that other mom if she wants to be friends. We won't ask her to coffee. We won't,
You avoid it. You won't go to the party that you were invited to because you don't belong there and everyone else does.
Exactly. We'll think, oh, I'm just tired, or oh, I'm just busy, or oh, exactly. We when we associate pain with rejection and failure, we stay stuck in so many ways. And so the second R is to redefine it. And once you're aware of your current definition, the second R is to redefine. And like two quick examples of that is because so often we're carrying these definitions that are painful. I remember a couple of years into building at cosmetics and hundreds of rejections. And one day I was just in tears. And I Googled every person that I admired most in business or had, helped change the world or helped move humanity forward. Every single one of them had so many rejections and failures, but like they're just the brave ones willing to keep going anyway.
Totally.
Right. And so that day I remember writing down in my journal, like, oh, rejection doesn't mean I'm not enough. It means I'm one of the brave ones willing to go for it. I'm not going to sit on the sidelines of life living in regret that I never tried. And I just redefined it for myself. And what I started doing is every time I would send it cosmetics out and get another rejection, I would catch myself going to that place of I'm not enough, but I would intersect it and like intentionally replace it with this new definition. I'm like, oh, no. This rejection is a victory. It means I'm one of the brave ones willing to go for it. And another definition I would apply to everything. I started building this toolbox of new definitions that I believe were true. And that's the key. You have to believe they're true. It can't be some like positive thinking. Like you have to know in your soul these are true. And I believe rejection means you're one of the brave ones willing to go for it. I believe that. And so I was able to replace that. Another one's rejections, God's protection. So people say rejections, the universe's protection. I believe that too. Like we think about like the dude that broke our heart, that we wanted that relationship to work out so bad. And now in our life, we're like, oh, rejection's God's protection. Like if I had stayed with that person, so it's like we start building these new definitions. And then the third one, and this is my favorite, you guys, is revisit. The third R is revisit. This one's huge because earlier, Kat, you were talking about when we let rejections or failures take root in like who we are versus just knowing there's something that happens is so different. And for a lot of us, we've had somebody in our past, it could be a parent or a loved one or a friend or something happen. We've had somebody not see our value or not love us the way we know we need to be loved. Maybe it was even recent for someone. They had a friend pull the rug out from underneath them or betray them or let them down or someone break their heart. Or maybe it's even a job you wanted so bad and you applied and you did everything and you didn't get it. It could be any number of things, but when you revisit past rejections or failures, and then you apply the first two R's to them, it's huge. And it helps you release holding on to them as part of your identity. And just one example of how to do this. Well, I'll give two fast ones. I was adopted, and my parents who did raise me worked a ton, and I love them so much. I was very, very, very blessed. But most of my life, I always was carrying around this definition that I was rejected or unwanted or abandoned. And that just came out in so many areas of my life. And I did this exercise and redefined it. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not rejected. I'm chosen. Like my birth parents were together one time ever, never again. And I was like, okay, God chose me to be conceived. And then my birth mom, her life would have been way easier had she not had me, but she chose to have me. And then my adopted parents chose to raise me. So I redefined this like, oh, no, I'm not abandoned and rejected and wanted. I'm chosen. And like, I believe that, and it's changed a lot in my life. But the one I wanted to share for everyone listening, because I just think that when we embrace this, it can change our entire life. When we think about painful rejections of the past or people that didn't see our value or that pulled the rug out from underneath it, whatever it might be, I will literally revisit these moments in my life now when they come up. And I will, the new meaning I assign to them, I will imagine, and this applies no matter if someone has any particular faith or no faith or believes in the universe. You can apply it for whatever you believe. For me, I will literally think of these hurtful, painful things, whether they're inside my family or whatever's happened. I will imagine God saying to me, oh, you weren't rejected. I hid your value from them because they're not assigned to your destiny. And I will believe that. And to this day, Cat and Nat, if I have like a friend that doesn't invite me to a party, or, like you put yourself out there and you're like, I don't know why this person doesn't like me. I just feel it, or whatever it might be. Instead of me thinking like, oh yeah, I'm not enough, instead of it letting take root in my worthiness, I will instantly say, all right, God's blocking my value from them. I don't know why, but I know that it's because they're not assigned to my destiny. And I believe it. And it helps you just go right through it.
Do you think kids are born feeling worthy, or do you think that we have to teach them? Or because I feel like a lot of men are just born feeling like, I don't know, it just feels like something. Does this apply more to women or help?
Yeah. So right now, yes, we are all born fully worthy, 1,000,000,000%. And we start to learn one step at a time to believe we're not. Here's what's interesting about men. So right now, 80% of women don't believe they're enough. 73% of men feel they're inadequate and not enough.
Wow.
They just hide it. They are less likely because of cultural belief systems to even tap into it. And they try to overcompensate for it in ways that build self-confidence.
Wow.
But they'll not tune into it. And it comes out in so many different ways. And so that's what's beautiful. And if for those of us who have a partner, and by the way, kids and especially men, they'll share things with us that might hurt their self-confidence. They'll talk about things that might hurt their self-confidence. Like, oh, I lost the game. Like my husband will come home and be like, I'm so upset. I did horrible at tennis today. Like this whole thing. They'll share stuff with us, kids and men most often, that hurts where they're struggling with self-confidence stuff. But when it's something that is hurt their self-worth, they won't. Like they'll
Mm.
bury it deep inside and not tune into it. So it's a big thing. And the way to really transform any of that is for us first to learn to truly love ourselves exactly as we are, to do the work of building self-love, which is really why I wrote Worthy, because we can only ever love, whether it is our partner, our kids, our friends, to the depth, and we can only ever have the depth of love and connection with anyone else as deep of depth of love and connection we have for ourselves. It's just, you look at all the data.
It's true. Yeah, it's
right?
true. I mean, it makes sense because when does this book come out? Like, when does it get
February.
here?
I'm so excited. I think it's this week that the show is out. It's here, and I'm so excited.
And you can buy it now, right? Pre-sale. Like, you can go on pre-sale and get it everywhere.
Yes, you can pre-sale and everywhere books are sold. And when you go to worthybook.com, there's just a big thank you bonus gift. I sell nothing on my site, and I'm donating all the proceeds from the book, but there's really cool self-worth shortcuts, bonuses, and stuff like that on worthybook.com, just as a thank you. And my one thing I want to just encourage everyone to is, once you read Worthy, please share your book, give your book to another woman. I did this like old school library card in the back of it, because my hope is everyone fills their name in, writes the name of another girl or woman, and gives their book to them. Or if you want to keep yours because you made so many notes in it, but you gift one to someone else, write their name in your library card, because the thing I know for sure is, like, oh my gosh, when women learn to believe they're enough, like, that's when the world shifts. Like, that's when ideas are shared. That's when, like, generational cycles are broken, and kids learn they're not what they achieve, right? Like, it's like that's when, oh my God, unhealthy relationships or friendships end, and ideas are shared and businesses are birthed. And so I just have this vision of no girl, no woman, no person left behind, and knowing they're worthy, because the truth is they are. So,
did you do an audiobook? Because I could literally listen to you all day. Like, did you do one? You have to have done one.
Yes. Yeah. And I read it myself.
Good.
And just like I can listen to you two all day, by the way, and you bring so much joy. I was just sharing before we started recording that it's just like, even seeing you guys on tour online, right? Even seeing it, just, I don't know. I just think when you are who you authentically are, it tastes like freedom, and it's just the best thing. And I also want to just honor the two of you, for inspiring me, and also just so many women to just embrace, like, the full beauty and expression of who they are. Like, that is what we're on this earth to do. Like, that's what we're on this earth to do.
You're literally so kind. And I do have to give a shout out to every woman who shows up, really as they are. And I think sometimes we're harder on ourselves than we even know it. And they show up and they smile and they embrace each other. And if someone's alone, you'll see someone else bring them into their crew. Like, I just think that, as part of being worthy, also go easy on yourselves, because we've seen it in thousands and thousands of women who just show up, and by embracing us, it's a lot easier to not like people than to actually embrace them and cheer them on. And our community has cheered us on from day one, and it's been remarkable to have a powerhouse of women behind us, like yourself too, cheering us on. So thank you for those kind words, for real. It means a lot to us.
Yeah, thank you.
We can't wait to watch this unfold, and we will share it far and wide and make sure that our audience gets some into their hands. And we appreciate you being here with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I just adore and celebrate both of you. So it's like an honor to share everything about Worthy with you and everyone in your community. And together we can do this. We can. I believe it in my soul.
I believe too.
We can change this. We can all learn to believe we're enough, and that's when we step into our full power. So I'm really, really excited, and thank you guys both.
Thank you. Oh, we appreciate you. Have a beautiful day. I hope it's sunny where you are. It's freezing cold here, so go enjoy the day, and we appreciate you so much.
Okay, thank you guys both so much. And let me know always how I can ever support and champion anything you're doing. Please let me know that. And I'm just super appreciative of
I can't wait to see you in real life one of these days.
Yes. And I still remember, I remember seeing you guys across the room. I was speaking at Teddy Mellencamp's event, and you guys were, I think, doing an Ed Milet show. Or you together, you were interviewing Ed.
Yeah.
You guys were on his show, or he was on yours. I don't know, but I remember you guys in this hotel room far away, and we had never met yet. And so it was so close, and so it will happen.
Okay, we'll do this again. We're gonna make this happen.
Yes.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Thank you.